but I wanted to join in.
Oh, no problem.
Oh, it's
Hey, everybody,
lovely
we
to
are
have you,
live.
honey. Hi, folks.
We are live once again with the Grey Skeptic Mac after party. Unfortunately, he had another interview to do. I might be breaking up, maybe not. My connection tonight has just been brutal. But yeah, we're here with Duke Bonanza, Wonder Lady, and of course the Lavender Lady. It's been a while since you've been in here, and we were just talking about Duke put out a tweet earlier about making Faye say mean and nasty things with her. How did you describe her voice again, Duke? Please reiterate that thought you had there, Duke. Oh, and now he mutes himself.
Sorry. I've just recently realized that I sound like Darth Vader when I'm on streams, so I've been trying to keep up with muting myself. So I describe Faye's voice as marshmallows dipped in honey.
Oh.
That was awesome. And they were trying to make you say bad things in that marshmallow dipped in honey voice, apparently.
That's
so
a much better way of describing it than my ex used to say it. He used to say, what do you call it? Bubblegum covered razor blades.
No.
Oh.
Well,
yeah.
If
well, that's not very nice.
Ex of yours, your ex can't be a very nice person now, can your ex?
Oh, he was funny.
Yeah, but that's not gum I would want to try.
True. Well, there are reasons we broke up.
That's usually the case.
Yeah, you kept putting razor blades in my gum, fucker.
Oh, boy, moi.
No, yeah. Apparently, I have to read awful things.
Speaking of that, you're in that DM group. Perhaps read some awful things for us.
I will. Today was a complete too busy day.
I have an idea.
Slept already for 2.5 hours.
I have an idea. Let's come up with mean, nasty, horrible, brutal things for Faye to say in that wonderful voice of hers, and we should film it all and release it as a whole context of like a frame of somebody's say this, and then Faye will say it, and then the next one, and so on and so on. And
well, Duke, didn't you float that idea?
It was,
yeah. There's a DM group I put together and tag some people in to get them to just think of something awful to say, and then Faye will say it.
And wants me to read something terrible too.
and of all damn things, in that same live stream, which was my 200 sub anniversary or celebration, I should say. So that made it all the more fun. But
it was your 200 subs.
Yeah, I'm amazed. I'm amazed 200 people actually want to listen to what the hell I have to say. Actually, I'm up to what 208 or 209 now. I forget. But
that's one of the funnest streams I've been on for a while. We had a really good time.
Jen with one N was in the side chat and happened to mention this guy who goes by the name of Chuck Tingle, and I guess he writes niche gay porn or something like that, but I don't give a darn about the porn. What I really like are the titles. If you look this guy up on Wikipedia, and you know what, I think I'm going to do that right now just to make sure I've got it all on. You get some of the.
I want to while you're searching that out, Dana, I want to just welcome Randolph into the stream. He's the fella that I'll be joining up with sometime down the road to put together a call-in talk show for beliefs and stuff.
Okay, so Neil, stand by to get demonetized here. But Wikipedia has a list of this guy's short stories, and they are amazing. And they also have dates of publication, which are just as interesting. We have Bigfoot sommelier butt tasting, February 2nd, 2015.
What?
That's the title.
Don't
Sommelier.
don't overthink it, Neil. If you think about the titles to these too much, blood will shoot out of your nose.
The next one,
Like in a fucking hentai video or something.
the next one is Unicorn Butt Corps, or I'm sorry, Unicorn Butt Cops, Beach Patrol. That's February 8th, 2016. No, that's published 3 days later. And then we have Trained by the Living Biker Train. Well, that's not all that bad. We have Anally Yours, the Unicorn Sailor. That was March 16th, 2015. Followed by Pounded in the Butt by My Own Butt. Published 19 March 2015. Now think about that one for a while, would you? And this is all by Chuck Tingle.
Yeah, so if you see any of my tweets that have hashtag Chuck Tingle, hashtag by Chuck Tingle behind it, you know why.
Yeah, this got started last night, and it's absolutely beautiful. My hat is off to Jen with one N. Thank you for mentioning that. That made my entire week, let alone my day.
That's amazing.
I'll mention the last two that are listed here on the Wikipedia, which is really fun. Not Pounded in the Butt by Anything, and That's Okay. 9 November 2018. 2 days later, Not Pounded in the Butt by my book, Not Pounded in the Butt by Anything, and That's Okay. And That's Okay. By Chuck Tingle.
By Chuck Tingle. I've got one here. Bigfoot Settlers Claim My Butthole by Chuck Tingle.
You have lost all control of your live stream, Neil.
What? I did the Bigfoot thing. What?
Bigfoot Settlers Claim My Butthole by Chuck Tingle?
But why poor Bigfoot? Why is he getting dragged into it?
He's blurry.
He's got dinosaurs pounding him in the butt too.
Right, he's getting pounded in the butt by ideas like pounded by the pound, turned gay by the socioeconomic implications of Britain leaving the European Union by Chuck Tingle.
Gay T-Rex Law Firm Executive Boner by
Gay Gent Brontosaurus, the butt is not enough by Chuck Tingle.
The butt is not enough.
Professor T-Rex teaches me gayness by Chuck Tingle.
You folks in the side chat, go and look it up. I dare you.
I love when he's talking about getting seduced by manifestations.
Yeah.
The handsome physical manifestation of autumn turns me gay by Chuck Tingle.
Oppressed in the butt by my inclusive holiday coffee cups by Chuck Tingle.
Oh, he's got another corn one.
Oh, that one's for Iowan.
I sent him the other one, the creamed corn one, but living corn James Corney fired in the butt.
Oh my goodness. Oh, this
one's even better. Space Raptor, but invasion.
Here's this one.
I have to make sure I tell Iowan about this tomorrow evening because he's interviewing me tomorrow, and I've got to let him know about the corn.
Turned gay by the existential dread that I may actually be a character in a Chuck Tingle book by Chuck Tingle. I don't know if the guy's writing's any good, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to buy at least one of his books and read it because just for the title's sake, for Christ's sake, man, I'm in love with this dude. I want to meet this guy so bad.
Unicorn Butt Cops Beach Patrol, by
and this
Shake
guy
my head again. Oh yeah. Bible Belt
This guy has an Amazon bio. Oh, let me see if I can get this. He's got a bio on Amazon because that's where you can get a lot of his books. And that by itself is a shitload of fun. Here we are.
How much are they?
Oh yeah, like are those going to make great stocking stuffers?
Yeah, I'm looking. Okay, I'm on his Amazon page right now. We have not pounded in the butt by anything, and that's okay. Kindle edition, $2.99. Space Raptor Butt Trilogy. Kindle edition is $5.99. Paperback is $6.99.
Okay, so but they do have hard copies because I kind of want to put a bookshelf up, and over the next year, buy every book he's ever written, and line the bookshelf with it, and just wait.
Oh my goodness!
Just wait for somebody to show up and notice one. You know what I mean? Not even point them out. Just leave them there. Yeah, and put a bunch of religious stuff mixed in with it.
Oh shit! I'd have to find a way to get some bookshelves up here in my studio because everything's in the back. Nobody goes in the back. There's no room to go in the back, but that's beside the point.
That's because your name isn't Chuck Tingle.
There you go. I don't go in the back, and that's okay by Chuck Tingle. But this guy on his Amazon page, it's beautiful. We have about Chuck Tingle. Okay, sit down. Hugo Award nominee Dr. Chuck Tingle is an erotic author and Taekwondo grandmaster, almost black belt, from Billings, Montana. After receiving his PhD at DeVry University in holistic massage, Chuck found himself fascinated by all things sensual, leading to his creation of The Tingler, a story so blissfully erotic that it cannot be experienced without eliciting a sharp tingle down the spine. Chuck's hobbies include backpacking, checkers, and sports. And it has its website and Instagram and Gmail, and it's absolutely beautiful.
I think this guy might be the Arthur version of Caps Lock Christian.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that would be funny.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, maybe Caps Lock Christian is Chuck Tingle. Maybe it's just, something he does to pass the time.
I don't know. I think about it, and there is a dear, did I mention dear friend of mine from way back in the past who is unfortunately no longer with us, but I could just see her doing something like this just for the fun of it. And it wouldn't surprise me that this was somehow her page.
Did you guys see what Iwan put up from Bionic Dance?
Yes.
Her
No.
peanut butter video?
Nuh-uh.
Oh, I saw her peanut butter video notification come up, and I haven't seen the video yet.
You need to watch it. Watch it.
Definitely.
It's fucking funny. Yeah.
Anything Bionic Dance touches, anything Kate touches turns to gold.
Seriously, you have to watch it.
I'm just gonna let you guys know I'm not gonna watch it now.
Why?
You have to.
That's because I'm a dick.
Duke is not getting pounded in the butt by Kate's video, and that's okay by Chuck Tingle.
That's the reason why I'm not going to watch it.
But please.
I have to get.
Because it's not pounding you in the butt. What? Wait. What?
If I'm not going to get pounded in the butt by the video, I'm not interested. That's why I watch all of Neil's videos.
You'll get pounded in the butt.
Neil always pounds me in the butt with his videos.
Every time.
Juvenile humor? What juvenile humor?
Yeah, we're all adults here.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you sure?
Exactly. Well, we pretend to be during the day, and then, of course, at night where we're on stream, we can turn into complete infantile idiots, so that's okay.
Pounded in the butt by infantile idiots by Chuck Tingle.
That's okay. Oh my goodness.
I don't know. Did you guys ever happen across there was a meme? It was an excerpt from a erotica novel where It's hard to explain, but apparently the guy's getting ready to get with his girl, and she puts him in some kind of judo jujitsu lock, and then the dude dressed like Batman jumps out of the closet and pounds the guy in the butt.
Hey, Brooke McCormick has a point. She says, "Hey, how can you have infantile idiots without me, Brooke? Get your butt in here. Get your butt pounded by the infantile butt pounding, and that's okay." By Chuck Tingle.
Pounded in the butt by a brony, and that's okay by Chuck Tingle.
Hey, oh my word!
Can you make it political?
Neil, do you mind if I pop Brooke a link?
Absolutely not.
Alrighty, we can take care of that.
This would be my first time talking to Brooke.
Oh, I haven't been in a stream with Brooke for a long time.
She talks to my best friend all the time.
Well, yeah, but she used to go by Cat Brony all the time back in the day. So.
Mm-hmm. No. Wait a minute. Is that doxing? I'm not sure. There's a whole shitload of stuff going on about that.
Oh God, yeah. I'm so sick of that already.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to say my piece about that. I think I'm gonna have to put out a video and say what I have to say, and then say, okay, I've said it, and get it, got it, good. One of those deals. Brooke, check.
I only did that.
Did you see Stag's video today?
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. Did Stag put out a video today?
45 seconds of 45 seconds. Gotta invest. 45 seconds to change your life, Diana.
Okay, then. Brooke, hello! It's been a while.
Brooke hasn't found her voice yet.
Brooke hasn't found her voice, and that's okay by Chuck Tingle.
That's right. Brooke hasn't found her voice, but Duke has enough voice for everybody in the chat by Chuck Tingle.
I think I'm getting. Can you hear me?
We've heard you. Oh, okay. Did you know that at the back of a Chuck Tingle book, they have how they have those perfume samples that you can peel off?
No.
But instead it's just a tiny little packet of lube and one tissue.
Oh boy, what did I say?
How do you know this, Faye? Just how did you discover this?
I don't even know what's going on. I was just turning on YouTube because I'm doing laundry, and I mean.
And
you're into the tingle, aren't you, bro? You want to tingle?
Very good. Who it is? Who are we talking about? That will determine on if yes or no. I don't know if he's my type.
Oh, he doesn't have to be your type.
I kind of got a little bit of a thing, but yeah. But Diane, I don't know if you saw my comment earlier. I did have a question for you.
Yes, dear.
It involved Bionic Dance. You said everything she touches turns to gold. How does that work with eating? I'm trying to figure that one out.
I don't know. I think she might have to have some sort of chainmail gloves or something made from gold. So they're already gold, and she can pick up the food with those gloves, and it doesn't get turned to gold because she's not touching it or anything like that. Or what the hell am I talking about?
I don't know. I was just wondering on that. It's nice to be in a life.
I don't have the cricket machine.
Hey, we don't need. This isn't movie night.
Oh my.
Have you ever had a dream that was filled with crickets?
No,
I haven't. Because I watched this thing about food, and because I like to look up agriculture and stuff, and they were talking about cricket flour. So when I dreamt that night, everything had sort of like crickets in it.
No, wait a minute. Cricket flour.
Yeah.
Are we grinding insects into a powder and using it like for baking and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's what
I
you
didn't
want
know
to
that
do.
existed. That sounds
Neither
interesting.
did I.
Yeah, it's like $40 a pound.
I'm
Oh,
wrong.
wow.
Interesting.
Got that in my pocket. Yeah, pocket change. I'll get 2 of them.
Well, what do you call it? It's one of the things that they're developing because, like wheat and rye and things like that, they're not. There's too many damn people who are losing habitat as it is, but we're also going to lose farmland, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
also like beef takes
Yeah.
up too much room. Like it takes more resources to make a pound of beef than it does. Like you could eat better eating the grain that
Yeah,
goes
and
into the
that
beef.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're I think they're trying to phase out cows altogether.
um
And they're
yeah,
talking about like growing beef in the lab. It takes 9 weeks right now, and like I don't know how much it's like way too
I'm not
expensive.
I'm not against that if they can find ways to do it. I
Oh,
know a
they've
lot of the
done
agri
it. They've done it. It just costs like I don't know
yeah.
three
Until they can make
thousand
it
dollars or some sort of weird
yeah. Until they
price
can make
tag.
it economic, efficient.
I
It's like
thought that
Perhaps,
that
a
I thought that
thousand
New York
dollars
strip.
for a chicken nugget.
Holy fucking shit, man.
Like
No, I
perhaps we should
thought that
just go with Soylent Green.
Yeah, there you go.
what is that? Is that spirulina?
No, it's
Soylent
a
Green. That was a motion picture with Chuck Heston. Um,
I've never seen it.
oh my, yeah. At
I
the
thought you
end,
were talking
Sounds
about
familiar.
eating algae like spirulina,
No,
which is a little slimy and a little fishy
it
tasting.
yeah, it sounds familiar, like I should know it.
I'm gonna keep my mouth
Well, I know
shut.
that
okay. So
Merry Christmas from Chiron Beta Prime mentioned
yeah,
Soylent Green.
Joko. That's one of my favorites. Jonathan Colton is one of my favorites. I was introduced to him by the Doe-Eyed Atheist, and I've been listening to him ever
You?
since.
Oh, I love him.
I'm not
Yeah. All right.
So
familiar.
So
smart. And you won't
Soylent,
even watch Kate's video?
I'm gonna watch it. I was just being a jerk. That's what I do.
Wait,
Okay.
Ask everybody else on the stream. Like, what does Duke do when he
I,
shows up?
I,
He's a
I
jerk.
can't, okay, all right. I will say this. I cannot say, you can't ask me 'cause I really don't know. This is the first, I think, real live interaction I've had with you. So,
Is
What?
yeah,
you're a bit muffled? Is it just me, or is the mic a bit muffled for Brooke?
I'm on
Oh, I'm
a
hearing the
different,
muffling.
Yeah.
She's
yeah.
got the mic wrapped in 3 layers of socks.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Well,
not
I
How
on
did
my
I
imagine
get
that
mugged
keeps it
by a
clean.
microphone
I,
wrapped in
I,
socks?
I'm not on my usual headset. I'm on a microphone earbud headset, and that's what I'm using right now. And it's touchy at best.
Well, it's
So,
getting better, so it can't be that touchy.
You know
I
what
don't
you should
know.
do is tape the microphone part of it to your cheek. Just take a big piece of fucking tape and stick it.
Yeah.
There you go. There you
I
go.
don't have any tape right now, so I'm a little, unprepared for that. I wasn't planning on
Right.
joining in the stream. I really wasn't. And actually, I gotta go switch my laundry over, so I will be right back because you're all right now with me and the Wheatfold Hall dorm laundry room.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, I gotta
Brooke
go
will
get
be
my
right back after this message. Yeah.
laundry. Are you depressed? Do you have anxiety? Try our snake oil Bible.
Then
It
get
cures
pounded in the
all.
butt by Chuck Tingle.
I'll be back.
Okay.
But
Chuck
yeah,
Tingle.
I'll have to see the peanut butter film because God, if Kate did it, I'm up for it. Okay, she just does excellent stuff. Let's face it.
Tribalism.
Tribalism.
What tribalism? I'd call it something else. But
Pounded in the
No,
butt
but
by
I can't.
tribalism by
that was
Chuck
funny.
Tinkle.
Exactly. I
Ugh.
as I said, I can't stay very long. I'm gonna like leave in like 5 minutes. Sorry. I gotta get a decent night's
Oh, you
sleep.
don't have to apologize. You don't have to apologize. We understand.
I got a pretty good day's sleep. I've been asleep all day.
I did the
Yeah.
same thing.
I have to make up for missing so much work last week.
I pulled 12-hour overnights last week. So
I scalded myself, and it was hard for me to move around. So I ended up going to the doctor, and he's like, "Yeah, you shouldn't really be moving around." And lo and behold, it started to heal like the moment I sat on my ass.
Bad was the
I
scalding.
sat on my ass and started healing, and that's okay by Chuck Tingle.
I scalded like 25% of my thigh.
How'd you do that?
Tipped over a boiling hot cup of tea into my lap.
Oh no.
You know, you're supposed to drink them, right?
I know.
Just saying.
But yeah, that hurt a lot.
No kink shaming, Neil.
That was while you were on a live stream, wasn't it?
No. I was listening to a live stream, but I have other parts of me were splashed as well, but they're not as bad. It's my thigh because I had like my sweatpants on and my jeans on, and like it went right through, and I'm trying to get my clothes off, and it just couldn't, and it was terrible.
I was going to suggest wearing asbestos pants during live streams, but if that didn't happen that way, okay.
Kevlar pants.
I wasn't on
there you
live
go.
Probably not that comfortable, I would imagine.
Well, you talk about Kevlar.
Much better now. I worked today, and it's been cracking since I guess Sunday night. So last night it started to crack, but there's healing underneath it, so it's good.
That's good. Burns suck, man. They take a while to heal, and they're just horrid.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple of 410A Freon burns working in the HVAC, and like I had a bubble the size of a golf ball on my hand for like 3 weeks. It was ridiculous.
Like a stupid person, I got a 2nd-degree sunburn at a baseball game a few years ago, and I could not walk for a week. I mean, my knees are still discolored from all the scarring that took place. I was just stupid. I forgot to take sunscreen with me, and I was wearing a skirt that day, and my knees got it. This was a day game, started at about noon, and what I really should have done was got up out of the seat and just gone back, into the stadium, undercover. But no, I was an idiot, and yeah, that was all sorts of fun. So people, when you say what?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so people, when you go to a baseball game, when you go to a day game, take your damn sunscreen with you, will you? And remember to use it.
I have a feeling I missed something important.
No, not on this stream. Not on this stream.
What? Could you repeat that? I'm sorry. Were we talking about something important?
I just go back and I'm hearing about baseball and sunscreen. I'm like, what?
I made a mistake one time of going to the beach at noon.
Oh my!
With someone, and we
bad idea.
And we were talking, and usually I spend the whole time in the water, but this time I was actually sitting on the beach. I went home. My boyfriend took one look at me and went, "Cold bath now." What are you talking about? He said, "You're the color of ketchup." What?
And you do not want to be that color.
See, I actually have a really good advantage on that. Is I do not burn.
Yes, you do. I hate to say this, but yes, you do. You just haven't been put in the right conditions.
I think I got sunburned once or twice, and it's
you do burn.
It's not super bad though. Usually, I always tan. I never really burn.
Have
And it
you
was
been
just
to the Caribbean?
no, I haven't.
Okay, you'll burn.
Isn't that the funny thing though? Like you ever notice you get a sunburn and you like have that heat emanating off your skin. It's driving you crazy. So you get in a cold shower, right? And it kind of cools it off a little bit. But fast forward 3 minutes and it's emanating off you again. What's up with that? Because like if you baked a turkey for 3.5 hours, it got it really hot, and then stuck it under a cold shower for 15 minutes, it would stop being hot.
Because you need to be in there for like an hour.
Well, that's all about the what is it? The interferons and all that stuff. The stuff that
the time,
genders inflammation.
yeah, the time I burned, it was just more like an irritation. It was like just like I had some irritated skin. That was it. It didn't really hurt. It was just irritated.
Yeah, you just haven't put in the right conditions. Trust me, you'll burn.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
I
just
have
like
permanent skin damage. I actually changed color permanently that day.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's what happened to me at the ballpark.
I'm covered in tiny little freckles. I actually look like I have real skin color now.
That's weird. You know, when I was like 2.5, I think 2.5 or 3 years old, I pulled a pot of coffee off on my face and burned my face really bad. And they scrubbed all of the scar tissue off as it would form, so I don't have any like noticeable scarring. But if I get really hot or if I get really upset, there's portions of my face that turn really super red. And that's where I was burned.
Don't you know you're not supposed to catch coffee with your face? It doesn't work out too well.
Right.
Yeah, I learned a valuable lesson that day, Brooke. Thank you.
Yeah, just in case you were wondering, I just thought I would let you know if you didn't figure that out.
The world according to
No,
Brooke.
that's good stuff. That's good stuff, Brooke. I got to keep you in mind, like for moving forward. I would be like, hey, I wonder what should I do this? What would Brooke do?
What we have to do.
Wait, Duke, you just said what would Brooke do? Let me ask you this: who is your dealer? Because you're on some good stuff right now. You're thinking that.
Brooke,
my dealer is the risen macho man Randy Savage.
Okay,
Brooke, you've got to make a video. And as a matter of fact, go ahead and make a video series. You know, what would Brooke do? And then we can review the videos from that series on movie night.
Okay, what would Brooke
Joint
do?
Size Strikes movie night.
Do movie night sober. Or I gotta do the better one. Oh,
I've never done a movie night.
Material.
Oh, man.
Sleep through.
Neil, you've got to come on. You've got to do a movie night.
Yeah, you got to be on movie. You would have fun. But no,
I want to see Luciano too.
For content, I was like, I need some content. So I now have like, I think 20 Steven Anderson videos. The entire COVID seminar. Yes, all like 15 or 18 hours of it. And his whole creation science evangelism classroom series.
I need to interrupt you to complain.
What?
You've been doing SJ videos.
Yes. I have that article finished that I've been meaning to do that for a long time. And I just finally was like, screw it, I'll do it now. And she went on my turf, okay? I had to respond to her. She went on my turf of design.
What's your turf?
Design.
Okay, explain this to me.
People argue that we're designed or the universe is designed.
How's it your turf?
I'm a draftswoman by trade, technically. I have a degree in computer-aided drafting. So that's the arguments I take down the most, is because they're so freaking easy to do. Anyone who has any design knowledge. So she argued design. I was like, all right, let's have fun. She does want to debate me on the topic of design still.
She wants to debate everyone. Have you noticed what she's been doing the last 3 days?
No, not
oh
really.
my word, have I ever?
She was begging Logic to talk to her. She went to Apologia and Shannon to set up like debate, blah, conversation.
Did that ever fly?
Yeah, I think they bit. I'm not sure if Logic
God.
did, but
Didn't she do a mock?
I told her she wanted to take it on. This was back in like, I don't know, I think it was July when this happened. I ended up finally losing it with her on one live stream on the Geek Room. And I'm like, all right, I'll go back in a civil debate where I know what kind of BS you pull now, and I will make her answer a question. If she refuses to, if she doesn't answer it properly in context of design, then I will look and go, please let the record show as they refuse to answer the question and thus is dodging. Next point. She gets
Yeah, she does dodge quite a bit. I asked her an honest question a while back, and she did everything but answer that question. It was like, come fuck on.
I'm gonna do it. That's why I'm doing it that way.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's funny because she called me out. She called me out a while back where she was like, I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with Duke. He seems to have a lot of hat and no cattle. And I was like, bring it. Name the time and place. She was like, oh, well, never mind. First, you have to do a debate with Andrew.
I challenged her right off the bat, and we were supposed to do this back in August. And that's what I was planning on releasing the video. I had actually GE do a part of it, and that's in the part 4 that will be released on the 3rd, I believe, is when I had that one set up.
Yeah, I don't know about actually like talking to her though.
I'm going, like I said, it's going to be more a debate, and I'll keep that.
I really don't know about actually giving her any more attention.
I'm waiting for you guys from the Geek Room. I mean, we had it set up originally, so I want to keep my word on doing it. I still want to do it because I just want to mop the floor with her. Because I will prepare probably 45 minutes before the debate, and I don't need that much time to prepare. I know pretty much every design argument that people can use, and
that's the thing. It's not your knowledge that's the issue here. All you're doing is making her look like she actually might have something to say.
I just want to watch her squirm. I want to sit there.
She knows how to do that. It's
Watch Her Squirm by Chuck Tingle.
You know, it's funny enough. I ended up in a position today to have to defend her.
Oh.
Is there?
Was it on the doxing thing?
It was on the doxing thing. That's the second time I've had to do it. I've had to do it twice now.
That wasn't defending her. That was defending a what do you call it? The fact that like all doxing is evil, no matter who you do it to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the second time though, because a while back, probably earlier this year, like people were tweeting at her job, demanding that she get fired, and I went after that guy. I went after that guy with the fire of 1,000 fucking suns.
It's wrong to say, hey, fire this lady. It's another thing to say to a college, hey, what is your policy on like religious preaching in your classroom, either from a teacher or a student? Do you allow it?
Right,
but
that's not what the
subject. I know that's not what they were doing. I'm just saying, that would have been a better way for people to tackle the idea that maybe an instructor might be.
Or what are their views? What are their policies on professional conduct?
Right, because I have to admit,
like with me, I'm in the education department here at K-State, and for that, I have to, whenever representing the College of Education, whether if I'm wearing any of the College of Education gear, which I will have to next semester because I have my early field experience, which basically, from what I kind of understand of it, it's going to be like a glorified teacher's aide, but it's just to give you the experience in the classroom before you.
I thought they didn't do that until junior year.
No, student teaching will be done last semester, my senior year. This isn't student teaching. This is just basically you're in there to see how a classroom setting is, to give you a little taste of what they do. So that way it's kind of an early thing saying, hey, here you go. We're going to give you this little bit here. See if you can do teaching. That's kind of get your feet wet type thing, not the full-on student teaching.
Right. I thought they didn't do that until the junior year.
No, they do it pretty early.
They may have changed it.
A lot of things changed,
It has been 20 years since I've been in school.
And also, I go to K-State, and they it was different either way. At a school, I'm sure. But with that, as long as I'm wearing that College of Education gear, or I am associated with the College of Education, I have to maintain a standard of professionalism and decency, quote unquote, to maintain that. So I would ask what their policies are on that, because she said some things that are very unprofessional for an educator, even at a college level, where you can get away with a lot more. She's done stuff that's very unprofessional and said things that could reflect badly on the school, and thus that would be grounds. But just but you would have to find out what the policies are. I don't even know where she teaches. I don't really care.
Yeah, Ocean. Yeah, we hadn't, if I remember this correctly, we hadn't mentioned Atheist Girl by name, but some of that is coming up here, and I agree with you. That's a damn mess. Now, okay, I'm going to get technical here. I'm not going to call that doxing per se. And it's a lot like some other definitions where you try to bring everything under one umbrella. I am going to call it harassment, however. Whereas, publishing someone's publicly available information is a call to action. Think about publishing a senator's office, a senator office phone number. Now, that's not necessarily harassing. That's not harassment because that's a part of that senator's job. But the reason you're putting that phone number out there is call that damn senator. So
Right.
yeah, you put SJ's numbers out there. That's a call to action of call this woman and bother the hell out of her. Now, I am no fan of SJ. Take my word for it. But still, that is
It's over
not
the line.
exactly a nice thing.
It's
You're breaking up.
Yeah, whoever's trying to talk is really.
But I have something on
It's
that,
me.
Diana. With a senator's phone number to like his office or their office, that's a little different, I think, than
Yes, it is. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's part of that senator's job. Now,
and that's their job to
you
field those calls, and your job to say, hey. And the thing is, the senator's number is public information. I don't think SJ.
well, there's the thing. This is why I was trying to draw the distinction. SJ is a private citizen, just as Ocean has said, and it's not her job to field phone calls. And now her numbers are out there as a call to action. Call this woman and bother her.
One thing,
not a good thing.
It's the attempt to get people to tell the university to let her go. SJ has on multiple occasions, one, did the whole, this is where I work, and I am bragging about getting my students involved in my religion. She does it on Twitter, she's done it on channels, etc., etc. However, it is not up to, like, okay, during the whole Charlottesville thing, one of the Nazi boys was sitting there doing his like salute. People were contacting his college to get him thrown out.
Yeah.
And that's something you really can't do, because it's like, oh great, get him stuck where he is. Get him stuck as a Nazi boy. Maybe 4 years of college would totally turn this kid around. And you're going to try to get him thrown out?
See, that's I'll kind of jump in on this one a bit. That's a little different with a student than a professor. Students have a lot more.
That's because you're not listening to what I'm actually saying.
What am I missing? I must miss something. Sorry.
What I'm saying is, I get the shame culture that we live in. I get calling out like cops killing people.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times where, yes, a little social justice is necessary. However, you can't ruin somebody's livelihood.
Yeah.
Right.
And you And I don't care if the difference is that's her job and he's a student.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Still
All right.
a
I see what you're saying.
potential
Can I
livelihood.
can I jump in for a second?
I
Just for
Yes.
1 second.
No, we won't like it.
So I know there's been things where where it's been said that she loves to involve her students in her religion. My curiosity would be, did that happen in the classroom or outside of the classroom?
In the
Right?
classroom, she's bragged about it.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up. That was all I wanted to know.
Is she at a public university?
Yes.
Okay, then yeah, then that is actually against federal law.
That is also not up to us to turn her in. Any of her students could turn her in.
Yeah.
For
My
one.
I see your point there.
For their parents who pay, or the students who have taken out loans, they have the right to say something about this.
Yeah.
So what we actually need to do is talk about how students have rights to actually be educated in what they're paying for,
Yeah.
rather than hear someone preach religious dogma. And we don't have to, we
Exactly.
can talk about the elephant fart, but do you have to talk about the elephant?
Yeah. My issue on that would be is maybe the students don't know that you're not supposed to do that.
Then it is
and
up
so-
to people to let the.
It's not an
let me
excuse.
finish. I have
Okay.
2 more. They don't know, and you can bring light to this issue to the school. If I saw something, or I found out about a teacher doing something at, let's say, Washburn, throwing a random school out there that's not mine, so I'm not going there. I found a teacher was doing something unethical at Washburn University. I don't know if there is, just hypothetical scenario. I would feel it my duty as someone who is a student at another university, but also a future educator, to alert the school that something's going on. Now, what the school does with that information, I can't say, but I wouldn't make it all public. I would do it through the proper channel.
Okay, here's my issue though. You don't have to be a student and you don't have to be a future educator to actually turn around to a school and say, "What are you doing in order to ensure that your professors are actually teaching their subjects and not religious dogma, without bringing up names, without bringing up an incident?" You can do everything you possibly can without actually endangering anyone's job, but actually dealing with the problem. The problem is not SJ. The problem is the action of religious teachers who seem to think that, okay, I've got people who are basically trapped with me.
Yeah.
She's not paid to teach religion. I get it. And I know that it's not necessarily legal, but putting pressure on universities, schools, blah blah blah, it doesn't have to be the one school. It could be all of them.
Yeah.
Because
Correct.
honestly,
I see your point there. And as a guy that growing up in public school in Joshua, Texas, like there was quite a bit of religious dogma that was thrown around in the classroom because the majority of the kids were religious. All of the teachers were religious, as far as I know. And they shouldn't be doing that in a public school setting. But I think Wonder Lady, I think you're right. I think you're right to say that there's a way to approach this without attacking a single individual and trying to actually like ruin their life and reputation.
Right, because then it becomes about her and not what she's actually doing. And it's not really her that's the problem. The problem is educators who use their classrooms as a pulpit.
I agree with you somewhat, but I also agree that she is a little bit of a problem there if she's doing that, because she is knowingly violating federal law as
We
well
don't know.
as
Yeah, except for one thing.
It's
You
all
are not
hearsay. It's all
you are
hearsay.
not in the classroom, and even though she's bragging about that, we don't know if she's actually doing that.
Right, that would be my thing. There's a level of ambiguity to the situation. There's a level of ambiguity to the situation where you don't necessarily know.
And that,
well, wait a minute.
And that is why I would bring whatever tweet she said, what she said on channels, alert that to
No, because that's the problem. That's like doxing. You don't do that part. You contact the school.
And she's saying where she's at. That's not doxing. It's public record. It's on. She publicly said it. It's not doxing. That's alerting someone of whatever.
You can alert the university of a problem without actually revealing who's doing it.
Okay, I have a question. Let me ask you hypothetically. Let's say you're the owner of a business. You have policies. You're not allowed to drink on company time, but you have someone saying, "Oh, I drink all the time at work." Would you want that brought to your attention?
It's hearsay.
But if the employee's saying it,
hearsay.
Well, wait a minute, Brooke. That's the thing I'm trying to ask here. It may have been answered already, but maybe I'm stuffed in my ears. Has anybody knowledge of her doing the bragging, or is this a case of people stating that they've heard her doing the bragging, but nobody has seen the bragging other than this person allegedly?
She took them down.
There's no evidence of it.
Now there's no. But if someone did it while it was there, or had the actual photo screen cap, date and time, then
somebody did. Then I'd want to see it.
I would want to see that. As if I was the president of a school, I would want to know if my teachers are doing something that they aren't, because at a school, I'm assuming it's a larger school. I don't know how big the school is.
It's a large school.
It is a large one.
It's a university.
Okay, Fort Hays is a university. That's not a big school. Kansas Wesleyan, although that's a religious one, but
it doesn't matter the numbers. It's a university. They're held to a higher standard.
I know that. But you can't always police every classroom. I mean, in the history department, there's, I think, 20 professors alone here at K-State. I mean, you can't be policing everything. It's hard to. And that's why you have to rely on other people to
This isn't about policing. Part of when there was an education issue, what they do is they will poll the students anonymously so that they can make a point. They're too nervous to go to the dean. They can actually poll the student body. They've done this in different universities, different colleges, so that they can root out problems like teachers teaching religion instead of academics.
But also, like, let's say she's guilty of doing something. Shouldn't she at least, like with most jobs, be allowed the opportunity to correct her action and not do it anymore? Because my understanding of the situation from people I've talked to has been that she was called out on that, she got called out by the school, and that she ceased to do it.
Okay, if that's the case, then yeah, I would. If she, varying on the severity of it, she would probably get a warning, and that's why I would alert the school of it.
No, but what's the point of alerting
the comment section
if she hasn't made that brag recently?
Again,
you guys not seeing the comment section?
If she said it at the time that it was said, and she's made the correction and isn't doing it, more than good.
But nobody should have turned her in for it.
I would disagree. I think that someone should have.
Yeah, Neil. You're mentioning the comment section.
Ocean.
It's Ocean. The wizard mentioned this, I think. Thing is, she's been approached about this by the university, and she was cleared. Is that what you're referring to, Neil?
That's what I was referring to.
Yeah. Okay.
What I was referring to was that she's been approached by it. She's been cleared. It was considered to be an issue. It was brought up, and there was no evidence to substantiate the claim that she was doing it in the classroom. So I don't know, because I wasn't there, but I would imagine that if there were students there that were made uncomfortable by it, that they can, in their own right, lodge a formal complaint about it themselves, and that outside people are looking at the situation. And the problem, one of the biggest problems I have, is that I don't think a lot of the people that are doing this are doing it because of because they have a good reason to, like, because they're concerned about religion in the classroom. They're doing it because they don't like SJ and they want to get her fired from her job.
Yeah, and there's intent does mean something. I am no friend to S.J. Thomason. If you're listening in, Stephanie, we have some very, very severe disagreements.
Oh,
but I
hate
am not
her.
about to get you fired from your job because of it.
That's what I said.
And
that's what I said. Essentially,
that should be the overall case.
Essentially, that's what I said too. Is SJ and I agree on absolutely nothing. Like SJ and I agree on nothing. I've never seen a point where we were agreed on anything. But I don't want to see her livelihood attacked because I disagree with her about something online. Like I
agree. But like, so what does she teach anyway? I don't even know. That's how much I know.
Business management, something like that.
Human resources.
Human resources.
Okay. Human resources.
Okay, I was just curious. It didn't really matter to me.
It doesn't matter if she's teaching macrame. If I am going to go to a school and I am going to pay for a class and I've done this, they better fucking be teaching me the subject I'm paying for and nothing else.
Exactly. I agree with you there. I agree. And
so her students, who by the way are adults.
I know.
I mean, it's not like it's high school. They should know that they have the right, and part of the whole campus thing should be how to handle problems with teachers.
Exactly. I can agree with you there. And I agree
you can do that without approaching the school about her specifically, especially if you're going on hearsay.
Okay, we're going to have somebody joining us, guys.
The way
somebody's actually a little bit more in the know on this is joining us, so we'll be joined momentarily.
And I'll say what I was, and I agree with you there, Wonder Lady. I think we kind of were in agreement, but we might have been.
No, we weren't agreeing.
Let me I agree with what you're saying here, because I thought the way that was being said was she was doing that now, bragging about it.
I don't know if she is or not, but the point is, you don't go, even if she was doing that right now. Like right now, we haven't witnessed it. People brag about all kinds of things online. You don't know if they're true or not. I could tell you I went like skiing. You don't know if it's true. But if skiing's illegal and you turned me in for something I was bullshitting about, like there's really no way to verify that. What you do is you don't bring up who did it. You start on like a campaign like, hey, do you guys allow religious blah 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 from your do you do anything to safeguard your students? Is there a way for students to complain without like revealing themselves, or like staying anonymous so that they can do like teacher reviews anonymously?
Yeah.
Like there's all different things that you can suggest and ask about, blah, 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 without actually targeting the person, because unless you see it, you don't know it happened.
Right.
That's my point too.
So there's really no, I mean, SJ could say, like she says it all the time, oh, God talked to me. We all know that's bullshit.
Again, but all right, let me post it this way. If I say I went out and I don't know, did something illegal, I broke the law in some way, and I started bragging about it on Twitter, would you not?
How do I know that's true, though?
It would be enough to alert someone in a position to let them know that this is going on. To me, that would be enough to alert them.
Why?
But you're conflating, like you're kind of conflating things here a little bit, so it's illegal to preach God in the classroom, right? But like like if you're saying, somebody's saying like, oh, I burglarized somebody's house last night, right? There's a different spectrum there. Like it's a whole nother level of crime. The
only thing that we're hearing people say right now is people are saying, I one time saw SJ bragging about this, and then there's nobody who seems to have actually seen the post or anything like that. And then there's also discussion beyond that of, well, SJ is aware of some of the stuff, and she explains things. It explains like what was going on, that this wasn't a classroom deal, that she's talked to some of her students before about Christianity, but it's because they approached her and all this other kind of stuff where it was outside of the classroom, and it's because they know she's a Christian. It's not privileged information that she's a Christian as far as her job is concerned. She's allowed to say that she's a Christian. She's not allowed to proselytize.
Exactly.
So,
Right.
And that's
but she, as far as we know, as far as anybody knows, she hasn't proselytized. And there's no reason to make a deal out of it if as far as we know, she hasn't done it.
And I can agree. And I can agree. If it's only other people saying it, then you can't go to the university about it.
Right. But that's not necessarily the biggest issue. The biggest issue right now is that Atheist Girl decided to say, "Oh, okay, well, I'm going to take this rumor, talk about the rumor on SJ's page, post her work information, including a contact information on her in this Twitter spat that they're having, and say, this, guys, you should know this."
Yeah.
Like that's
wrong. That's bullshit.
I would call that doxing. And on top of that, doxing, harassment, whatever the hell else you want to call it,
if you want
it falls in all those categories.
It's still wrong. Yeah.
It's completely awful. But I'm
it's
saying,
bad.
if it were true, we're not in the classroom. We don't have the evidence. She could have been talking out of her ass that day. It's not up to us to be like, oh, we're going to go find this person and dig it up.
If it's true, it's none of my business.
Exactly.
Right.
And the big thing, my big point is that it's not up to Twitter to hold an investigation and hold court on whether or not she should keep her job.
Right.
Evidence of doing it, you can't really be you can't be putting your information out there anyway. It doesn't matter who she is. But if you had like the screenshots, that to me would be something we're forwarding to the university privately.
No, that wouldn't be right.
I don't agree. I simply don't agree. I would say that, all right, you've got screenshots of something that somebody said on Twitter, okay? And so you're going to forward that to their employer.
It's just Twitter. It doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
Right. That's the point.
Or at least, and this is going to be the other half of my statement, at least alert the university that there's questionable activity possibly from one of their professors.
It's none of your damn business. I'm sorry.
There's the thing. Wouldn't it be a lot better if someone that was affected by that behavior went to the university?
Yes.
We're talking about what's the term I'm looking? We're looking at standing. That's what we're looking at. I mean,
it goes back to their code to teaching ethics. It is a violation of a teacher's ethics to do this. And I guess for me as a teacher, or even a future teacher, when I become a teacher, I'll be even held to a higher standard. I feel it would be my duty as a teacher to inform them.
No.
Would you?
I'm going to say again, we're talking about standing here. If we're talking about a person who's not affected at all by any of this, what right is it of theirs? If I'm in her class in a public university, and she's proselytizing at me, okay, I've got standing. I can go to the university and I can say, hey, look, my prof has been, trying to convert me, and I'm not all that happy about it. But
if you're just some schmuck on fucking Twitter that just sees a fucking tweet, you don't really have there's not really any reason for you to approach anybody about anything. And also, once again, I would bring
Tampa. What the hell, man.
I would bring the intent into the equation. Like, I don't think that the intent is to ensure fair teaching in a classroom. I think the intent is, I don't like this person and I want to hurt them. And
exactly.
And that fucking sucks, dude.
Part of the thing is people say false things online all the time. She has a quote unquote apologist image that she's cultivating on Twitter. So maybe she's lying, or maybe when she wrote that she was lying. Maybe she had too many glasses of wine. How many people part of police investigations, what do you call it? They'll say, who murdered this person? And a whole bunch of people say, I did. And I don't know why people do that, but they do.
All the time.
All the time. Just because somebody said something doesn't mean it happened.
to the point where like the police will actually issue fake fucking evidence. So so that the people that so they can tell who did or didn't actually do it, so they can weed out the nutcases. And so like, and at the same time, like I would also take it to this, right? I say inflammatory shit on fucking Twitter all the fucking time and on live streams everywhere. I say inflammatory shit, and I live in a fucking Bible Belt, Bible thumping fucking state. If anybody that knew me knew half the shit I fucking said, I would be suspect. I would lose career opportunities. I would get fucking banned from places. It would be bad. It would be bad. And why is that fucking reasonable? Like, and the funny thing about it is that I've never seen evidence of any of them doing that. Every time I've seen evidence of somebody trying to dock somebody else, it's been our side. Now, maybe I'm wrong and I'm just not seeing it, but that's what I've seen.
I've seen it happen on both sides, but
I mean, I say I eat babies all the time, but that, does that mean I actually eat babies?
Right.
There is a difference here, though, and I will explain why I see a little bit of a difference. Maybe I'm wrong, and
I'm a babysitter, and I say I eat babies.
Okay, let me. I was that make
all right. Yeah, make your point. Let's let Brooke talk for a second, and we can hear what she has to say.
There's two separate issues here, and I'll use what you said here, Duke, and I'll even use me as an example. What we do on Twitter and YouTube, we don't really. I mean, I'm a little more open about where I'm at, and if the college education ever really wanted to, they could kick me out if they wanted to some of the stuff I say, because I say I'm a part of it. But Duke, I'm assuming, I don't even know where you work. I'm not sure where you're at. I don't really see much on that from you. But do you ever associate your work with your Twitter when you say these things?
No, I don't. But at the same time,
I would say that's where the difference is. She's invoking her work when she was saying that. Now, if I invoke the College of Education with my videos and started doing all kinds of crazy stuff, I would be in a problem.
She doesn't openly associate her university. She doesn't. Not her university.
When she was.
She used to.
That would have been grounds to dismiss her.
Someone's crinkling paper.
Duke,
I think that's you.
But
no, it shouldn't be grounds to dismiss her. It's still not proven.
Because if she's let me explain why. If she's invoking her university in her inflammatory bullshit, then there is a problem there, because now the university's name is attached to it, so is their credibility. That's where the issue would lie. If she is invoking her work, the employer would have every right to get rid of her.
Okay.
I don't know what you mean by invoking.
I have to be very clear about something. Everything everybody says online, that like businesses, universities, blah blah blah, they search for this kind of thing. If they had a problem with it, they deal with it.
I can agree that.
That's actually a good point.
It doesn't need us to do anything.
I really don't give a shit about SJ. If I'm going to do anything to her, I'm going to do response videos to her. That's it.
Right. That's the point, is that instead of doing response videos to her, there are people that are actually actively attacking her livelihood, and that fucking sucks.
And this isn't the first time it's happened to her either. This is something that she's talked to me about several times before this, going up to, as first I heard of it was a year ago.
And that's the thing I was trying to say. I was saying earlier, like a year ago, somebody went after her job on Twitter by tweeting at the fucking university she works at and saying that they should be ashamed of having her for a professor. And I lit that motherfucker up on Twitter.
That's not right per se.
But
no, it's not right at all.
Yeah.
This like moderate language you're using is what's, I think, bothering everybody. Is that like, no, it's just wrong. Like, you shouldn't fucking do it.
I'll agree. I agree.
Right. I'm with you there.
There's channels to go through. I mean, maybe we might not agree on the direct route to go.
There's no channel to go through. You're not the one affected by it.
Yeah, that's the point. If you're not the one directly affected by it, you shouldn't be involved in it at all, because there's no effect on your own personal life or your personal experience. If the students of SJ's classroom had a problem with SJ, I imagine they would take it to the fucking dean and they would deal with it. But they seem to not have a problem with it. It seems like the only problems that I've seen come for SJ have come from people on the fucking internet that are actively attacking her in her personal life and on her livelihood. And that fucking sucks, and I just don't agree with it on any level.
Well, that's what happens. A bunch of fucking angry little trolls that just want to get some sort of revenge on her because they don't like what she says. And that's just, like, it's none of their fucking business.
I don't like anything she says.
No.
Yeah, but
I
don't either.
I
But I'm not gonna come at her that way. Like,
if you don't like her, though, block her.
Exactly.
Now that's a point that I brought up as well. That's a point that I brought up as well. Is that if somebody's saying things online that offend you or affect you negatively, right? You have the ability to either mute or block that person and not see it anymore. You don't have to continue to engage in the conversation. So there's no reason to go after their livelihood unless you're just being a fucking jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree with you to an extent on that. You don't go after someone for that. Well, again, maybe I'm looking at it differently underneath what the teacher's ethics are. But I just ignore her. I don't even follow her. I don't even search her out. That's why I was like, let's go over SJ and doxing. That's about it.
I'll put it like this. There's very few people I've had a more inflammatory relationship online with than Andrew Strutalities. Okay? Yeah. Me and that guy have been back at each other, like, I have no idea how many times, to the point where he blocked me, right?
I didn't know that.
But
that's awesome.
But a few months before, like a month before he blocked me, I was having a conversation with him, and somebody in our group in the conversation, I won't name a name, but they said, I think this person might be this person, and started posting personal knowledge. And I got all over them, like in the split second. Stop that. Delete that. Don't do that. Don't fucking dox. Don't fucking go after people in their personal lives. It's not okay.
I agree. I mean, what people know about me is what I say. And I mean, there's things about me that I don't want people to know, and I don't post those. And I would be very angry if I did. I mean, heck, I don't even know if anybody knows where I even work. Talk about.
Yeah, but I mean, like, let's put it this way: drunk tweeting happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again,
God damn, I've said some dumb shit, fucking drunk online for sure.
Not only that, but I mean, like, it's not like she. Look,
I agreed to a debate while I was drunk. That was a terrible idea.
I mean, when I see stuff
I mean, how many times has someone been in the position where, like, I lost my train of thought. This sucks.
When I see somebody going off on somebody or something like that on Twitter, the first thought in my mind is Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. We are arrant knaves all. Believe none of us.
Yeah, and I agree. Posting people's personal information is wrong in any way, sense, or form.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I know my point.
I know my point. If she has invoked the university she works for, whatever it is, I really don't even know or care.
It'll show.
That is not technically not private information. That's public knowledge if she's posted it publicly. Like, what my name is public knowledge. Where I go to school is public knowledge.
No, it's not actually.
No, because you're not looking at this from the right angle, right? So you could easily find out. You could probably easily find out who I am if you went through watching videos I've been on. If you went through like looking at pictures of me on Twitter that I've posted, right? But I don't
take that much work. As a matter of fact, I just looked myself up. And it was, I think within a minute and a half, I found enough to come knocking on my apartment door.
Right. So that's
also really easy to find in that way.
That's unacceptable. So I'm just going to say it like this. I'm going to say it like this and be done with the conversation for the most part. I am actively against doxing anybody for any reason whatsoever. I am actively against going after people's private lives private personal fucking lives because of disagreements online and disagreements on Twitter. I'm actively against it. I do not support it. I will not support it, and I will call it out if I see it.
Agree.
Very, very good. Very good.
Okay.
Yes.
I agree.
Let me be really clear here. I'm going to read the definition. Doxing is the internet-based practice of researching and broadcasting private or identifiable information, especially personally identifiable information about an individual or an organization. The methods employed to acquire this information include searching publicly available databases and social media websites like Facebook, hacking,
that-
and social engineering. It is closely related to internet vigilantism and hacktivism. Doxing may be carried out for various reasons, including to aid law enforcement, business and analysts, risk analytics, extortion, coercion, inflicting harm, harassment, online shaming, and vigilante justice. That's doxing.
Right,
Let's be very clear about that.
I would argue wholeheartedly that the people that are doing this shit to SJ are doing it because they're vigilantes. They're doing it because they don't like what she has to say and they want to silence her and shut her up. They want to intimidate her. They want to push her into a margin where she's not going to be able to respond anymore for fear of losing her job, and that fucking sucks.
Okay.
Yes, it does. As a matter of fact, I want her to respond because in my particular thing, if she says something, she makes one of her tweets, and I reply to one of those tweets. My replies are usually, "SJ, you're really screwed up on this. You're not coming from the right place." I want her to tell me why she is coming from the right place.
Yeah.
I want every stupid person that has every stupid idea online saying what they think so that I can debunk it and approach it and say why it's wrong.
And that way the Flat Earth Society can grow.
Well, they have members all over the globe, right? Definitely.
I would like to say them really quick. On that definition that Wonderlady just read, I will say I was wrong on what I understood doxing to be. As far as I knew, if you put it out there in a video or on Twitter or something and publicly made it public, then it's public knowledge on that.
You can respond.
That's what I've been yelling at you about.
You can respond to it, but if you took that video and say found her parents and shared it with them, you're stepping over the line.
Agree on that, and I stand corrected on that. So I was wrong. I'll fully admit that I'm wrong. Like I mentioned, I go to K-State. I make no secret about it. I make no secret I'm in the education program.
Right, but I have no right to go to K-State and say, "Do you know that Brooke is an atheist?"
No,
even though it's true, even though blah blah blah, I have no right to interfere. Try to attempt to interfere with your life for the better or for the worse.
Wouldn't even enter my mind, to be honest.
I guess the issue I saw with it was if she was, saying the stuff.
But you're still going off a hearsay.
Again, if I had the actual photos, if she said it,
it doesn't matter if it was a tweet or not. I understand what you're saying, sweetheart, but I'm telling you this: that is going above and beyond what you really should be doing, because that is doxing. That's exactly the problem. That is doxing, and unless it's a violent crime or a sexual crime, I mean, that is something you report, not necessarily to a university to try to get her fired. That is something you report to the police. Like if someone went out and said, I sexually assaulted someone last night, you might want to forward that to the police so that they can find out if someone was sexually assaulted or if that person is having hallucinations.
Hey, I want to share something else real quick. I want to say this as well. If you're having a private conversation with somebody, don't fucking publicly fucking post that either. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't.
don't post fucking DMs. Just don't fucking do it. I mean, at the end of the day, there's no context to the conversation. Like, nobody knows what's going on around everything that's happening. You're just basically exposing fucking a private conversation that can be taken out of context and make somebody look bad when they're not bad. So, like, don't dox, don't fucking share DMs. If somebody comes to you in confidence, don't do that.
On that note, I have something to say to you in private later.
Okay. You're gonna yell at me?
No. There's no
You're about to get admonished, man. It's gonna be bad.
Well, no, he's just kind of hoping that Faye will yell at him in that honey-coated marshmallow voice, right?
Only if she spanks me first.
I knew
only
you
if she
were
spanks me
something about
first.
spanking.
I like where this is going.
This conversation just got 10 times better.
By all means, reach out to me in DMs. I have a policy that I'm happy to be corrected. If I'm wrong, I am happy to be corrected and told that I'm wrong.
It's not a correction.
Once you find out you were wrong, you're no longer wrong, and that's always about.
It's another chapter in the doxing book.
Okay. Well, reach out to me in DMs. I look forward to talking to you.
Okay. Actually, there's 2 chapters in the doxing book.
Oh boy.
Oh goodness. I have to mute for a few minutes. Okay, guys.
Mm-hmm. No, but I mean, like, I mean this. I'm correcting you out of love and respect, Brooke.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
okay. I don't want you to think that I'm mad at you, or that I'm like, let's go rumble or anything. I know that we come from different sides of the ring here, but I'm telling you, that kind of tweet, you don't report.
All right. I mean, and I probably, like I said, I probably would never even see it because I don't follow her. I just, I feel it's more as an educator, you know.
No, no.
Like I want to. I've several times when you've been bringing up points. I'm sorry, but I've wanted to like just tell you that's irrelevant several times in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That there's I'm speaking to Brooke on this. I'm sorry, but yeah, there's been several points that you've brought up about like what context it would be appropriate that just don't affect the situation at all.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably wrong on this. I'm wrong on many things. Seems like
I'm wrong on a lot, honey.
Same here.
But and the thing is, people I've loved and who love me have corrected me, and I've grown from that, and I'm just, that's why I don't want you to be wrong on this. Yeah. So you know.
To be frankly honest, I don't want SJ shut off. I want her to keep spewing her bullshit.
I don't care if somebody super glues her damn mouth together. I can't stand the fucking cunt.
I can't either. But she occasionally.
Sorry, Neil.
Oh no, it's okay. You know, there's hate when that word comes out.
Yeah, there's a few times I'll go to a website and just for a laugh, I'll read it because it's so wrong. It's almost comical, and it really is. It's like you went there, did you? I can't believe you went there.
I don't enjoy fail videos, and when I see SJ saying what she's saying, I'm hearing, I fall down and I see God. I'm hearing voices. I'm thinking, you need a doctor. I'm not enjoying this at all. I'm seeing, in my mind, I'm seeing someone with a medical fucking condition who's not getting the help she needs. I don't know if it's she could have a tumor, she could have an imbalance. I know I'm not diagnosing, but I'm just saying, if she's falling down, like physically being knocked down, she says, by an invisible force, to me, that indicates a health problem. I'm not happy thinking that she might end up suffering later on in life from a serious condition that she should be getting checked out. At least getting checked out.
Yeah.
I don't like her at all.
I see. If I started saying that, I would probably say, hey, you might want to go see some
I
professional.
have said it to her.
No, I was saying for me, I would say that. But as far as her points that she's made, I'll respond to those.
You know what? I grew up as an atheist. None of any religious person's points mattered.
Hey, Duke, man, you're roboting pretty hard.
Oh, somebody is, yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that's
it's
really
none
hard.
of that came in, my dude.
But I mean,
Need to
like,
reconnect probably.
If I'm completely wrong, though, feel free to tweet me about it because I have to go to bed. Like, literally,
No,
I
I
really.
agree with you. I would,
Hour ago.
stupid, her really bad points, people listen to. And that's why I respond to what she says. And that's why I responded to the video. to
Oh,
the
respond all you want.
Yeah.
Of course,
Just
gonna listen to her.
don't
She's
do
got
her
a lot of
job.
Yeah. Like I said,
And I'm not saying that you have been and
Yeah.
blah blah blah. But what little pixie butt is doing right now,
Yeah.
she shouldn't be doing. And
I would call that out too.
this is the wrong way to handle the situation.
Agreed.
Thing is, telling her she's not appreciating it, and two, anyone who tells her is basically trying to protect her from libel or like a possible court case where if the university did fire SJ, then the people who turned her in can be sued for a loss of lifestyle and income. It could get really ugly from this.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it could go back and forth and back and forth, and it could get really ugly. So, I mean, you know, I know people think social justice is easy, but it's not.
No.
You know, talking about a governor who may or may not have, that's why there's words like allegedly.
Yeah.
Cover your own asses when you repeat stuff that you hear.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it doesn't take much to actually do that. However, like, I know we're not all lawyers or blah, 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 and stuff like that, but a lot of what people say actually should be phrased carefully.
I agree.
Because we are dealing with other people and other people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
You mean I didn't get a free law degree with my internet connection?
No.
God, fuck! I've been doing this wrong.
I watched a thing from Harvard on YouTube, but I don't have a Harvard University account.
That counts.
I watched Perry Mason, so I should be able to defend anyone, right?
Oh, right. You should be a total detective.
I watched Law and Order.
yeah. We're experts now. We've seen.
I've seen like 3 episodes of it. I'm ready to go.
What does that say?
I actually haven't ever watched it. I want to.
That's fantastic. I need a surgery, so you should be qualified.
And I also watched Dragon Ball Z, so I'll just grow you
ready
some
to
beans.
fight too.
Yeah, I'll just grow you some beans and give you one, and you'll be like magically healed.
Like you can take like 10 years of a martial art, or you can watch a season of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
You know.
What I was going to say a second ago, I don't know if I'm so robotic, but what I was going to say a second ago was that I actually don't dislike SJ as a person at all. I just agree with everything she says.
Oh, I do.
And I think that
I hate her.
I think that she says bad things, but I used to be her, so I kind of get.
You're
roboting. Man, you're
Duke,
way
you're
down
roboting
in the
again.
mud there, Duke.
But
way down.
Yeah, Duke, you're roboting pretty bad, but I'll piggyback off of what you're saying that because I agree with you 100%. I actually don't have a problem with SJ as a person at all. I have a huge problem with a lot of her opinions. I have a huge problem with a lot of things that she said. And in fact, I was just talking to Godless Iwin about this, and I was saying that like I got into a spat with her where we came to blows over her justifying the genocide of polytheists because of biblical passages in, you know, like Canaan and about the Canaanites. And I was just like, good Lord, are you kidding me? Like, I have a huge problem with that. But like when you actually sit down and talk with her as a person, she's not a terrible human being. She's a pretty nice individual. She just has some warped fucking opinions.
I'll have to be very clear on this. I've had interactions with SJ, and I judge her on her behavior, not what she says. the little mind games, the leaving threads, not coming back, ignoring points, talking over points, changing what you're saying, etc., etc. The abuse.
Oh yeah, I
she
think that
gives to
she
other
definitely
people,
engages dishonestly sometimes. That's true.
the abuse that she gives other people. I
Hmm.
don't respect her at all. I know she can be nice on a one-to-one thing, but that's what she's trained for. She's human resources. She fires people. She was trained to fire people so that they wouldn't go postal. Everything out of her mouth is insincere
Yeah.
and wrong, and I loathe her. I really, if is she,
I had
I have nothing nice to say about her as a human being at all. However, I wouldn't mess with her income. I wouldn't mess with her family. I wouldn't mess with her at all because she is beneath me.
yeah.
Well, not only that, what fucking purpose would that serve? Really?
Exactly, but she's beneath
Someone.
Charlie
And we try
Manson.
to go through life with the others as we can, right? Like, why
Right.
would we even bother doing that? Right?
It's not what she says that bothers me. It's what she does and how she conducts herself as a human being
Yeah.
that I find detestable.
Yeah, I mean, when I was on the geek room with her and she came on, I about left when they said she was coming on, but like, I'll stay on. She got me to yell and then just leave. I mean,
I was
was,
there. I
oh,
heard you.
I didn't remember if you were there or not. It was bad. It was.
What did she get you to yell about? I haven't seen this.
Oh,
Um,
she
she
was
was
being so
justifying
dishonest.
she was justifying genocide, and I asked her straight up front a question. She refused to answer multiple times, and
It's
I
weird.
finally
Why do
got
Christians do that? It's
I don't
like a
know.
regular problem that I've got with Christians is
I
that
don't
at
know
some
exactly.
point in the conversation they'll justify genocide, and Duke, you're still fucked.
Yeah, Duke. Sorry.
Is it better?
A
Better?
little.
Little.
Yes, yes.
But I'm gonna take off. I really have enjoyed this way too much.
Wait,
I
wait,
mean,
wait.
seriously, I've enjoyed this conversation way too much, and it
Faye, what are you
pains
going to
me
take
to
off
leave.
and can I watch?
Huh?
What are you going to take
Oh,
off and can I watch?
All right, this is the first time I've met
being
this
like a
person. Hello, Wonder
pianist.
Lady, and it was great
It
talking
was a
with you.
pleasure.
okay, we're ready.
To meet you. It was a pleasure, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being a little acidic, but I meant it from a good place.
No.
No, I understand what you're
You're
saying.
fine. And
Everybody has the right
agree.
to say what they want. Like,
I agree on my points. I was in the wrong, and you guys were right. I'll fully admit.
Well, yeah, but even if you didn't admit that you were wrong and you still held that position,
Yeah.
I still love you, honey.
I know.
sure.
Okay. I
Mm.
still love you. So good night.
Good night.
Bye
Also,
bye.
Good night, honey. You take care.
Hang
Huh?
on.
What?
Wonder Lady is going to be raking me over the coals on her channel on the 27th of November. So if you want to come
Yes,
in.
and I'm going to enjoy
Oh, yay.
that. Mrs. Snarky is coming
Oh,
up
you
too.
gotta be kidding me. Oh,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm working then. What time is it?
Oh,
What time?
okay. YouTube has this thing where they actually let the video stay on their platform for a while, so you'll
Yeah.
still be able to see
Oh,
it.
9 o'clock my time.
It's in your Pacific.
Eastern.
I'm Pacific, yeah.
She's Eastern.
I
She's
might
the
miss
same time zone as I am.
I might miss part of it.
Well,
Then
We can't be
well,
friends
you can
anymore.
always watch it again because, like, I am definitely going to rake
But 9 p.m.
Neil over a barbecue. So that'll be
I
fun.
don't know.
I'm
okay,
scared and interested.
So I have a question. Is Neil going to give an entirely new definition to the phrase hot buns? If she's roasting you over a fire, I'm assuming the buns are going to get hot. So
I just roasted Iowan
Nah.
the other day. The first
Oh,
question
Iowa, too.
was here's an example of the things I will be asking. If there is a plague, your neighbor has the plague. Your neighbor's children come to you for help and for food. They're hungry. what do you do? See, there are no right or wrong answers to these questions.
I can answer that easily.
Don't you dare, because for Neil on the 27th. So I'm going. I'm not.
All right,
No.
Neil,
I have to go to bed. Bye.
Go to bed one.
Can I come too?
Here's the thing, though. Neil, my answer would not work for you. Here's why. I live in a college dorm. It's either you're only allowed 2 people, adults. So guess what? There are no kids as neighbors to me.
Okay, was I
Well, what
and if
happened?
I have an answer for it, so it's perfect.
Okay, yeah. See, mine doesn't apply to you because I'm in college. You're not. So
This is hypothetical, Brooke. Come on.
Yeah.
Engage the imagination.
Hypothetical. All right, who's my neighbor? That's the question.
SJ.
Wait, is he help or SJ needing help? Was SJ forget it? But the video was she was justifying genocide, and I was grilling her on the Bible and what it said, and asking who do we follow, and she would not answer anything, and I finally just lost it. I don't know if you saw it, Diana. Were you there on that one with the Geek Room?
No,
Wait, you're
I
saying-
was
wait,
not.
you're
I'm going to
saying
have to go
asking-
back and look at it.
You're asking
Well,
who should follow? What? Is she followed?
She was making some claims, and I was asking her, who do you follow, Paul or Jesus? Because she was making claims about stuff. And
I guess she would say both, right?
she was trying
Well,
to
the problem is
say
you can't.
yeah, and then I pointed out what Jesus said, and it completely contradicted what she was trying to say. And from there, she
I'd have to
just
see the
kept.
specific example
I
because
finally,
Christians get
remember
around this
what it
stuff pretty
was.
easily.
I don't remember what it was, and I just finally had enough, and I lost it, and I yelled and left. I think I called her a dishonest shitbag. Actually, I think it might not have been that exact phrase, but I know it was something like that.
Well, I've called her dishonest more than once.
No,
Definitely.
I actually think I put shit. I might have put shit, but I lost it. I just fucking lost it on her. And after that, I challenged her to debate. She actually accepted. I was surprised on that. And she still wants to do a debate, and I'm willing to go make her wish she never accepted. Because I won't play nice.
I don't know. I've seen her bungle some debates pretty hard before, but she seems to keep on trucking. Like she went into a debate with Richard Carrier and she did really badly, but it didn't seem to matter. Like,
Yeah, that's the part that blows me away is that it doesn't phase them for what.
Yeah,
yeah.
You don't know that you've been laid out, splayed, but
I think you can be right and lose a debate, but I also
right.
Because like I've lost some debates in which I've known that I'm totally right, but I definitely lost that debate. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
but with that debate, it was like SJ just didn't have anything to bring to the table. There's strategies that she could have used, but she didn't use them, and she's just not she's not a great debater. But
and the first thing you've got to do is realize that you've done that, so you can do better the next time.
Exactly, which I don't think she does. That's the problem.
That's exactly why I'm going to do what I did. What I'm going to do when I debate her, I'm going to ask her a question.
Do you have a debate with her scheduled?
Not yet. I need to get back. The Geek Room, I thought I messaged them. I might need to message them again to see when they can set it up. Between
the Geek Room guys are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh yes, absolutely.
It was originally supposed to be hosted by the Geek Room. On this one, I'm going to go back to them. And what I'm going to do.
Many channels that'll host that. You know that, right?
What?
There's lots of channels out there that'll host something like that.
Geek Room's a good host though. Well, if he's got if he's got an in with the Geek Room already, he should give it to them.
True enough.
Just like I've got an in with the Non Sequitur show. If I've got a debate, I'm going to be trying to give it to them.
Because I originally tweeted at both the Geek Room and Non Sec. So that was already set up there. I need to get a hold of them for it and have them set it up. But yeah.
Yeah, just to fill you in, because Brooke may have got kind of talked over it a tiny little bit. Ocean, it's she.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's my bad.
Yeah.
No, not a problem. It's rather new yet, and people are still getting used to it. It's not like me. I've been around for years.
Yeah. And I know.
I apologize profusely. That's
No,
a
you're
huge
fine.
mistake.
You're fine. I know I don't sound exactly like a she, and I don't always look it. So, yeah.
Oh, no worries. Your name says
gonna
Brooke.
keep
I
my mouth
should
shut,
have
Brooke.
fucking known.
Yeah. And
I even called you Brooke. It's my bad.
Yeah.
It's not your bad at all.
And I shaved, and it's already grown back. I hate my facial hair. Yeah.
Let the
How's that?
HRT kick in.
Being trans sucks. I'll fully say that. But I originally tweeted at both Geek Room and Non-Sec, and Geek Room picked it up, and we were supposed to do it, but I had internet issues, and moving to K-State was on there. So I had that. Then I, went through, that stuff. And we were supposed to have it. We were supposed to reschedule it. Never got really rescheduled, and it's just been kind of nothing really happened from it from there. But I really want to take her on because, as I said, I'm going to ask her a question 3 times, and when she refuses to answer, as I know she won't be able to answer the question, I will look and go, "Please let the record show my opponent failed to answer my question." Next point. Then I'll ask the next question.
There are the questions that a lot of the Christians simply will not answer. Yours is one of them. Another one is the question I've been asking everybody for years, which is, how do you tell the difference between the word of a God revealed to a man and, written or spoken by that man, and the word of that man coming out of his own head?
Yeah.
With him claiming that it's from a God in order to gain credibility. You've got a couple of questions in there that Christians should really stop and think about. I'm not saying right now that there is no good answer to any of those questions. I will later, but it's something they should at least think about.
Exactly. And I agree. Like, my questions are all going to be designed, and she has to explain why it's designed the way she's calling the way it is. And I'll even grant the designer, but she has to prove it has a purpose of being like that. And I can point to multiple things. I mean,
wait, you're gonna grant the designer. What's the
No, not really doing that, but if she wants to argue, fine, we're design. Now explain why it's this way. Because if you're claiming design, you have to prove why it's that way. Why is this system this way?
Usually it's an intuit, like they intuit the designer.
One of the points I always bring up is the Andromeda and Milky Way galaxy.
Oh, the collision course.
We're on a direct collision course.
They're saying that it's actually already started to happen now.
But we're not going to, like, our planet is not going to get.
We wouldn't notice. We're not going to notice.
Matter on that, actually. It's still a.
Well, I'm just saying this is something they recently released.
You can have 2 rocks bump into each other. That doesn't mean there's no designer. Like, I don't understand how galaxies make it different.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's more the argument that I hear used when people bring that up is bad design.
Exactly.
As if and I don't know if it's the case that you should assume that the designer is going to have the perfect design every time.
But that's where my first question is going to get her.
Well, I also how do you know that's not part of the design? That's kind of one of the problems with the. It's a double-edged sword with the design argument, and it's difficult to argue for, and also difficult to argue against, because a lot of the things that you can bring up as evidence against design can be incorporated into the argument for it just as easily. So, in that sense, that the design, that's one of the reasons why design doesn't necessarily appeal to me as a good theistic argument, even though I'm theistic. That it doesn't it's ad hoc ultimately when it comes right down to it. It's like you can use it, the same justifications that are in it, to justify anything. So,
and if you can do that,
or actually, there isn't. I would want to see, like, what is the observation that would falsify an argument from design, and I don't like. in that sense,
But
if there isn't one, then I think it's a bad argument because you
but
can't
the
even falsify it logically.
on the way she argues it, I can. I just have to find one bad point that no designer would ever make, and I can explain why.
Well, then that begs the question, because you need to find out what's the bad design, and if you start talking about like how do you define a bad design, and if something is badly designed, that doesn't mean that there isn't a designer. It just means that he was inept at something, which then you would get into maybe it wasn't a perfect God, but you still wouldn't get to it wasn't God. So, and with the God that is in play, it's a God that has designed the human body with the appendix and a human body with cancer. So, and that plays into Christian theology already.
I can explain why with her it doesn't work, and here's why. She argues her God is omnipotent. That's going to be my first question. I know she'll say yes to it. She has to.
I'm not sure what her definition of omnipotent is.
Omnipotent.
Yeah, me either.
Well, yeah, but Christians have different ways of approaching it. So some Christians will say that omnipotent means that they can do it. God can do anything. Other Christians will put limitations on that and say that God can do anything that is logically possible. Still further limitation from
Craig one.
William Lane Craig uses that one. Thomas Aquinas even goes further to say that God can only do that which is logical and within his nature. So, and a lot of Christians use that one. I know Andrew, who Duke has gotten into some spats with, that's the one that he uses. And
yes,
it gets into God. I mean, that's one that I find particularly frustrating because that just means God does what he does. When you simplify it. However,
it depends on his mood, I guess.
Right. And I asked her if she stood by it, and she said yes. So I know what her position already is.
Okay.
And her argument is finely tuned. There's one problem with that, and I can easily point it out right now. Go out during the day.
Duke, every time you unmute. I love you, man, but damn it.
Wow, that was right in my ears. But she already
realized he was playing frisbee with the floor.
The universe is finely tuned. Now,
all right, so sorry, the fine-tuning argument. You said that there's a problem with it.
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead.
Even if I grant you that Earth is fine-tuned for life,
it's not.
I know it's not, but even if I grant that argument, I'll even be willing to grant that argument. Here's where
it's fine-tuned for life and that life can exist on it.
Yeah, it's fine-tuned for life that life can exist on it, but not fine-tuned in the way that it's like that life is perfectly made for life. Like life happened, but it's not necessary. Like it could have not happened.
Let me point out.
Yeah, it depends on what the standard is.
Well, that's putting the cart before the horse because it's not better to say that life is fine-tuned for Earth.
Yes, that's the point. That's the point I was trying to make. It's the Hitchens point where he says.
I like that.
Yeah,
it's the Hitchens point
life
where
is what was available here for it to happen. So
so it'd be the Hitchens point where his teacher, he said his teacher pulled him aside or pulled their class aside and said, "Look how everything is green, and green is the easiest color on the eyes. Isn't it wonderful that God made everything green?" But the point was that
it's not the easiest color to the eye, though.
Well, even if you say that's not true, but besides the point, like the point is that the eye developed to be in sync with what's around it, not the other way around.
And again, now I'll explain why the fine-tuning on Earth, even just life being fine-tuned for Earth, is even a bad argument. There's a problem with it. And the problem exists about 93 million miles away, give or take a little bit. That problem is the sun. Because in 5 billion years, the sun will become a red giant and engulf the Earth.
Okay, so here would be my theist argument against that. So here would be it's the same as the theist.
Before that.
Right, so that would be my theist argument against that would be the same as my theist argument against, like if I were still a Christian, my theist argument against that would be the same as my theist argument against the galaxies colliding to one another, right? Is that if God has a plan and at some point he's going to intercede, the entire universe is going to be recreated. As long as he plans to do that before any of those things happen, it's irrelevant.
and now you have a problem.
Well, the thing is, though,
you just deposited God as a reason for it won't happen. When you have to prove now you're God, that's the problem that they'll run into.
Well, the thing
No, you
is,
already assumed the designer.
Yeah, you're assuming the designer in advance. So to say that, like for instance, to say that right, to say that arguments from design are really good arguments against there being a God, right? Well, once again, like Ocean pointed out, that it could just be an argument there was a bad designer. It would also be an argument that if you're saying that the sun's going to burn out in 5 billion years, well, if Jesus is coming back in 2,000 years, the sun burning out in 5 billion years is irrelevant. So he's got a plan in place to show why he would intercede in advance for that purpose. So. Okay. I mean, yeah, you have to show that God. You have to show that God exists first, right? But you're already conceding that God exists if you're arguing from design.
What happened ultimately there is that you did what would be considered a dishonest debate tactic, which is that you gave the designer at the beginning of the conversation, and then you took it away once it was provided.
Well, no,
as a justification. So then you're trying to play a bait and switch in the bait and switch tactic in the debate game.
Well, the other thing there too,
you have to explain. Because then if you do that, even if I grant that, now you have to prove that your God made this sun different than every other star out there that we know about and can observe. There's so many issues that fall into even.
No, that's not necessary. The sun was sufficient for there to be life on the earth. That's all that was needed.
Yeah, the thing
that's
is,
right. That's true.
The life might be tuned to some extent for the conditions that we have now, but that doesn't mean that the conditions will not change. And if life stays the same and the conditions change suddenly, life is gonna have a big problem because now it's no longer tuned and it can't stick around.
Be why I would probably ask about how, from a design perspective. Again, I'm gonna make sure I issue design perspective because I'm looking at this like if I was an engineer or a drafter and someone laid the blueprints on my desk and I was looking over them, say I was the checker, I'm gonna look at it from that perspective. Why is this like this? You have to explain it satisfactory from a design point. If you can't, there's a problem. And that's what I'm going to say. Why is the sun going to burn up in 5 billion years and engulf the earth? Where's the design point in that?
Because it's not going to happen.
Because it won't happen. Yeah, it won't happen before God intercedes.
Now you have to, then my point would be, why is it in that plan? It's going to happen. We know it. We can prove it. We can.
No, it's not going to happen before the universe is recreated.
Right, that's the point. Before God recreates the universe, that will not happen.
Then show me the designs for this new universe. What are they?
Hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet.
God is the creator and will create a new universe once Jesus returns.
That's where the problem lies. Now you're invoking God. I'm
invoking revelation. That's different. So yeah. if the Christian is going to be coming at you from, hey, in order to be a Christian, I'm putting faith in the tradition of Christianity. And if you're going to be arguing with my worldview in order to try to find a contradiction, then you're not going to be able to dismiss aspects of the worldview without contradiction. Like if I'm saying that this is part of the worldview and you're trying to object to it on the basis of a contradiction because the sun's going to explode, well, the sun exploding, like you may be able to foresee that, science may be able to build a model for it, but it hasn't happened yet. And the Christian position is it's not going to happen because the universe is going to be recreated before that point. Now, to say that there's no contradiction in that statement, they're just using their religion. They're using the revelation that's been provided to them as a Christian.
Right. So, Brooke, what I would say is that your argument brings you back to the prime mover argument. You know what I'm saying? Like it takes you back to arguing against there being an intelligent force that created the universe. Like, you know what I'm saying? So even if the point is like you have all these things in the universe, like galaxies colliding, sun burning up, all that stuff, right? They have an explanation for that, and to say that their God created the universe and he's going to intercede before that happens, right? And at that point you have to say, well,
convenient.
That's why I will, on that, ask my question, and I'll keep asking that same question 3 times, and then that's when I will go, let the record show she refused to answer the question and relied on special pleading. Next
What question was answered and what special pleading took place? You granted the designer.
No, I asked from a design perspective. I'm asking, how does she explain it from a design perspective?
Explain what from the design perspective? The recreating the universe?
No, the sun.
The sun? It's sufficient to create. It's sufficient to put life on the planet. That's all it is. That's all that's necessary. That's all that's necessary for the argument.
No, my point was the sun turning into a red giant.
It's
but it's not going to happen before Jesus returns. So the sun's sufficient. The sun's sufficient to create life.
And that's where special pleading comes in.
There's no special pleading happening. I'm sorry.
You're special pleading Jesus to explain away the sun burning up.
No, we're involving Christianity, which you granted.
I'm not. That's why I said I'm going to change how I'm going to ask my question, because you guys pointed that out.
So then you're just going to be granting a designer and not Christianity.
I'm not.
Oh, you're not granting a designer. Well, then we have to go back several steps then, because we didn't get to this point until we had already granted a designer in the first place.
Yeah, that's why I was changing. That's why I said, okay, then I'll ask it like this. I'm not granting a designer. From a design point of view, explain to me why in design you would have this. You're arguing a designer.
Now, if you haven't granted a designer, this whole point of the conversation becomes irrelevant. We have to go back to justifying the designer until we agree.
Exactly. So you get back to the point. You get back to the point of trying to argue why there's not a designer.
I'm asking her why her claim of designer counts. How does she explain this issue? Because if we are designed, if this whole system and universe is designed, this fails, it would not work.
Except that as of right now, it does work.
Right. If the second coming happens tomorrow, the sun's not going to blow up.
Right. That's the point.
God has a time limit for Jesus to come, and it's before 5 billion years. So I mean, it's actually probably earlier than that, because there's a point where the sun's going to blow up, or the way to where the Earth will get so hot that no life will be able to exist. Yeah, so it's more like 2 billion years or something like that. But that's still like a sizable period of time for Jesus to return. Like, he may be procrastinating, but he's not. So
I think
that bad. It's only been 2,000 years so far.
But
I think Brooke,
he's been procrastinating for a while, because it says right in the scriptures he was supposed to come back during the time of his
disciples. Within a century, right? Yeah, that's totally supposed to happen. But you brought
up Jesus, right, Ocean? You bring up Jesus.
What's up?
You said you bring up Jesus to come back, right?
Yeah, because I'm talking about Christian theology.
Yeah, Christian theology. We're playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, I know, and that's where my
I'm not a Christian. I don't know if that's clear.
Okay, no, I wasn't sure what you were. Sorry, but now my
I'm
question
pagan as fuck.
when you bring up Jesus is which Jesus is coming back. There's at least two in the Bible.
What?
There's at least two different Jesuses in the Bible
that come back.
Well, that are named as the Son of God, Matthew and Luke.
I'm confused.
I'm confused too, because
I'm not sure where you're going here.
Let me explain.
Yeah, they would claim those are the same Jesus. So
my criticism of your debate strategy so far is that you're trying to employ gotcha tactics. That my main problem with them is that they aren't working.
Mm-hmm. I would find them to be not pragmatic.
I've never found design to be a good angle to go from, anyways.
No. Okay. Whenever I debate about the existence of God, I try to debate it from a standpoint that he's not necessary for any of it.
That's a better way for an atheist to go about arguing that topic.
Agree with that.
It's not that it's impossible, but it's unnecessary.
The point I have that I use in a lot of things is, if we look at it from a naturalistic perspective, these issues that most people would have with design, the issues that arise from a design, make more sense because there's no design to it.
If you're looking at it from a naturalistic perspective, you're begging the question that there's no God.
Yeah, well, all right. So I ran into the same problem when I talked with Andrew, in the sense that we were talking about things that could have been miracles and then were turned out to not be miracles. So, like, one of the things I brought up was the germ theory of disease. And it ran into a little bit of a problem in the sense that he was able to point out that even though you could prove that germ theory of disease is why people get sick, that still doesn't mean that God didn't make it happen, right? So
I was in the live chat when that was happening, and I was typing in the live chat, possession, bring up possession, because that would have been I think a better thing for what you were going for, because what he was saying is that just because you have germ theory doesn't mean that God didn't do it, and it could still be a miracle that it stopped. But but if you're going with possession, with mental illness, one of the explanations for many forms of mental illness during the medieval period was that demons were responsible in possessing people. That turns out to not be the case.
Yeah,
we have a completely different explanation for it. We understand it, and it is you can have people that are good Christians that aren't being possessed by demons, according to Christians, that still exhibit the same behaviors that would have been accused as demon worship by Christians in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
And so that would be an example of something, but that's like demons. It's not necessarily miracles and gods, but
I totally admit I shit the bed a little bit on that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and here's the thing though, with when you said you brought up Jesus, I would ask which one. I will explain what I mean. Matthew puts King Herod the Great as ruler at the time of Jesus' birth. There's a problem with
that. Then you're talking about Quirinius being the other one.
Quirinius.
I'm familiar with this. Herod's either the ruler or Quirinius is doing the census, and those are about 6 years apart.
Nope. No, 10 years. 4 BC.
One's 4 BC, the other 6 AD. 6 AD.
And 6 CE is when the census happened.
All right, fine. So 10 years. It doesn't necessarily change the issue. You still can't have Mary being pregnant for 10 years.
Or give birth.
That would be weird. Maybe she was pregnant for 10 years. I don't know. It's God. But so one of the issues with that is like a lot of Christians will approach this by saying that they don't hold to biblical inerrancy on this topic. And a lot of honestly, I don't think that SJ adheres to strict biblical inerrancy when it comes to stuff like this. Her version of biblical interpretation is open to things like this being interpretation mistakes.
And that's where I want her to go. I'm banking on her doing that for this reason here. When she says that, I will gladly point out saying, if you don't accept the date given, such as who was ruler at the time of Jesus' birth, and that's not accurate, but you claim this other part is, how can I trust anything you say or your Bible claims? You just discredited your whole argument.
Because the point of the Bible is not the year of Jesus' birth. That's not the message that the Bible has come here with. The message the Bible has come here with is a salvation message.
Right. So the message would be to say that, there was a Christ, he was born, he was slaughtered for our sins, and he was resurrected, and so on and so forth. So it's not really, I mean, you can show the contradictions in the text, but it like Ocean said, it's like Ocean said, it all that falls back onto the level of that they will talk about inherency, like the Bible being inherently right. So if she's willing to step back and say, perhaps there were some interpretations there that were wrong, it gives her an out.
But then why should I believe her on anything else she claims if she is not willing to follow her own standard?
Right. Well, I would say that's true of every Christian, because I don't buy into anything any of them say, because the inherent ridiculousness of the Bible in general. But
and that's why I'm going to pin her on it. She wants to go.
And I think,
in my opinion,
I find it always very interesting that arguments over like the claims of these deities being Jesus, God, whatever, like that we're even having arguments when we're arguing over something that is in essence just an idea, really, because none of it has ever really shown to be anything, really, if you think about it throughout history.
Correct. So the way The way I would approach it would be to say that. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, I just mean like for me, sometimes it comes down to, first of all, I'll show me that there's something that we're actually arguing about. Like, show me that this thing actually exists. Otherwise, to me, we're just might as well be arguing over fucking Smaug from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and that's
right.
why I
So
was trying to word my questions carefully about explain this in design terms, meaning explain why it's this way. I can do that. Like another one is the LRN nerve. I can do that. Evolution is very, very clear on why it's like that. But if you argue a designer, now you got a problem. Because the designer would do things as efficiently as possible. No designer would do that elsewhere. So there's the problem for her. That's why I'm not going to grant a designer. I'm going to basically say, from a design perspective, how do you justify this?
Christians might have a problem with that on the basis that they usually are claiming a perfect designer.
Exactly.
And that's where the issue kind of comes in. But also, like I said earlier, you do have humans with cancer, and it seems to be like a naturally forming problem with the human body. And there's also, like, cancer is not the only one. There's several of these things, but cancer has existed, and humans have been screwed up from a medical perspective for the entire time Christianity has been around.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but did they not discover cancerous tumors in dinosaur tissues or bones or something?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Before humans existed and CERN could have been around.
Yeah, I mean, cancer has been something that has been known by humans to be an issue since Egypt. Like, we're perfectly aware, we've been perfectly aware of this for some time.
Yeah.
And this hasn't affected the idea of there being a perfect designer. One of the explanations for this in medieval Christianity, and I think if you debated somebody like Andrew, and I think SJ would probably even bring this up as well, is that we are in a fallen existence.
Yeah, that was the point I was going to bring up. Is that
Blame everything on the fall.
And here's the thing. That's why I'm not going to bring up cancer. I'm not going to even bring up diseases.
But even bad designs can be blamed on that as a result.
Yeah.
Then that's one hell of an apple.
Well, yeah, that's the whole idea.
Special pleading, and that's where I'm going to point it out.
That's not special pleading. That's consistent with the damn. All right, that's their religion. If you're going to be arguing that the religion is inconsistent somehow, then you need to show that it's inconsistent without assuming first that there's something to it.
See, that's the point. I'm not
like, if you see an inconsistency, and there's several things you can bring up as inconsistencies. Like there's inconsistencies that I'll go after that are like foundational to the belief, but this isn't it.
Ocean, that's the point I'm trying to make. I'm not arguing Christianity with it. Far from it. The moment she brings up Christianity, I'm going to go, that's not what the topic is. You have to.
Well, then you're not actually defeating SJ, and she's going to walk away from the conversation like she's won. Because it's like, all right, fine, a designer doesn't work on its own, but it does work when you add Christianity to it.
But that's
like,
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's the thing. That's the thing you got to remember. Like when Ocean brought up the when Ocean brought up the idea of the fallen Earth, like that was the first thing that popped in my mind when you brought up your concept, was that yes, these things are bad, but we live in a fallen plane where like man is fallen and the Earth is cursed.
I made sure I was clear when I said it, that we will argue design, not Christianity.
Right, but the problem is that, again, SJ can walk away from the conversation by saying, okay, well, I guess a designer doesn't work on its own, assuming that she concedes that. She might have another argument. But a designer doesn't work on its own, but it does work within Christianity when the rest of Christianity is added to it. Therefore, I'm confident in my faith, and in fact, even more confident in my faith.
And
yeah, so
I don't know if you would count that as a win. Like, it seems like,
and that is where I would step in and go, no,
they feel it is.
You need to prove Christianity now, as well as a designer. It doesn't work. I'm asking you about design. You need to prove design to me. I'm a designer. I
don't see that as a objection that works.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it either.
Yeah.
It's just me personally.
Like, I'm not seeing where you're actually going with that.
Because
like to me, because to me, you're jumping into the middle of it. You're jumping into the middle of it. You're kind of, in order to argue the point that you're making, you have to concede that there was a designer, and then show why that design is wrong. And there's just far too many ways for Christians to argue why that's not a problem.
Like, I think that you need to develop your argument a little bit more, because as it stands, I think this would be something that SJ could handle pretty easily.
That's why I use the phrasing. If there is a designer, this is absolute bullshit and should never have been designed. That's the problem.
Unless you're a Christian designer.
Unless you're a Christian designer, whereas you could say, okay, the sun's going to blow up. The sun's going to blow up. Yeah, the sun's going to blow up in 2 billion years, but it doesn't matter. Jesus is going to come back before then. You have an appendix that kills you before you fucking for no good reason at all. Yeah, but the Earth is cursed.
Like, I've had the Christians argue that the universe wouldn't end if it wasn't for, like, entropy would not be something that the universe is dealing with if, the Eve had not bitten the apple.
Right.
Like, that there would be no, like, we would be in a perpetual universe with perfect design and stable perfect design if that didn't happen. But because we are fallen, because we're in a fallen universe, and that evil was let out into the world, and Satan's influence is in our universe, until this is the whole reason why there has to be a recreation at the end anyway. Like, that's, you're taking something that Christianity has all of these explanations for, and is part of the tradition, has been part of the tradition for thousands of years, and trying to say, well, if you ignore all those things, then fine, you're fucked in some way here. But then the Christian goes, well, that's fine, you're ignoring the subtlety of our beliefs.
Right.
Like, why?
That was never part of the debate, and I was very clear about that. I was very clear.
And then the Christian shrugs and goes, okay, well, then we've, within the limitations of this debate, you've defeated a concept that doesn't work unless we add the rest of Christianity to it, assuming that that's the result that it goes to. It's just like, all right, fine. So Christianity is true, and this isn't true without Christianity. You've proven my point. You've made their position stronger in the end.
Yeah.
So,
but the thing is, I'm listening to all of this, and the thing that comes to my mind, the thing about the Christianity is required for this, and the fall is required for this. Don't you have to establish that the fall occurred?
Exactly.
Don't you
And
establish
we never
that the
did.
tenets that are Christianity are indeed the case? Because I can say, I can say that you're wrong, Ocean, because the flying spaghetti monster directed that you cannot be right in this argument. But then aren't you going to come right back at me and say, well, show me the flying spaghetti monster?
Ye of little faith. We're looking at
I have no faith. As a matter of fact, my work with NCG only strengthened my Abistavism.
I can address this a little bit, but I would need some time for it.
And that is why, very clearly, I would point out that now you have to explain this design and prove this claim.
Okay, so I think that how a Christian would approach this. Neil, are you having fun? I'm sorry, man.
No, it's all good, man. I'm. This is good conversation, but it's 11, and I get up at 4 in the morning.
Okay, we can call it quits here, because if I respond to this, it's going to get real complicated real quick.
Well, here's the thing, though. Also, Neil, you could just shut down the live stream, and we could just keep talking.
Yeah. And you guys can carry on. That was going to be my other offer to you guys.
Yeah, if you want to do it that way, because I am kind of interested, because I want to know how I'm doing it wrong, if I am indeed doing it wrong. Because if
Danny, you're doing it wrong, damn it.
Thank you. I want to correct.
Let me get a little something.
I'm doing it wrong.
Let me get a little something out before I go. Just let me get a little something out here before I go.
Sure.
One of the things that I always said about the fall in the garden is, are we accepting the premise that God is all-knowing?
I'm not accepting any.
I mean, Christian would have to defend that.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Then that means that he already knew it was going to happen well before it happened. As a matter of fact, he would know.
I use this argument on Christians. Then God is responsible for the fall.
Yeah.
So he set him up. basically.
Yeah,
That's a better route to
before
go.
That's a better. That is an absolutely better approach to the conversation than there's a problem with design.
That's the reason why
there's
prove
than
me that the
that you
fall
can
happened isn't the best question. It's
No.
Well, we can take that the fall happened on faith, and we can see all the signs of the fall happening on the basis of what's going on in the universe just now. That's largely where the point would go. And if it's logically consistent, then it's justified to have that position. But when you start to say, well, look, no, God is all knowing, and to the point of where you can argue that he has premonition, and then he's also the creator, then he's the one who set everything up. He's the one who's really responsible for the fall in the first place, and therefore every soul going to hell is on him. That's going to be a killer argument. That's the one Christians have a really hard time with.
Yes, they do. I found that out.
Wouldn't somebody like Seitan Bruggencate come back and give you that arrogant smile of his and say, "Oh yeah, God is not all loving. God is a son of a bitch." You know, I mean, do you?
Seitan's a Calvinist, isn't he? If he's a Calvinist, then he's free to bite that bullet.
But fuck Seitan.
Jump on that grenade all he wants, man.
Yeah, Calvinists embrace that.
Ocean,
fuck Calvinists.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I don't like Calvinist philosophy at all.
They knowingly worship a moral monster.
Carry on. I have one quick thing to say before I take off.
Okay.
I've got a couple of more interviews coming up in the next couple of days. On the 21st of November, I'll be talking with Godless Engineer and Caitlin North. I'll be talking with Steve. Tune in for those ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, you roboted at the perfect time there, buddy.
Did I? Oh, shit.
Yes, you did. Yeah, just go ahead and repeat yourself.
Do it over, yeah.
Okay. What did you hear?
I heard Godless Engineers coming on the show. I didn't hear anything else.
Okay, so yeah, it's Wednesday, and it looks like I'm fucking freezing again. Okay, 21st to Wednesday here in Caitlin Chloe.
At what time?
Oh, God.
What time?
And on the 24th, 4 p.m. Pacific.
Okay.
On the 24th, Steve McRae is going to come on.
That'll be interesting.
About 6 p.m. So
okay. So
and other than that, I'm out of here, guys. So you guys can carry on the conversation. I've got to get to sleep.
Thanks for inviting me on.
So thanks for jumping in, Ocean.
I do.
Randolph, thanks for jumping in. I know you didn't really participate.
Well, it's quite. I had to get my audio fixed up.
But
I hope you can.
Real quick, Neil.
Yeah, we can.
Steve, if he actually exists.
Huh?
Are you going to ask
Does Steve
actually exist?
I would say that Steve would approach the conversation from he exists, and that's the only thing he understands, and from there he extrapolates out.
I'm observing him, so he must exist in some form.
Neil,
we're having a conversation.
Best thing, ask Steve about people that do not believe he exists.
Yeah.
I am not kidding. There's a whole subculture about that.
Is there really? Okay, I gotta dig him on this. That
should be interesting.
That's why I asked you to ask him if he actually exists. That was the point.
I get it. This is news to me. It's
Neil,
something
I'll shoot you an interview with Steve that I did that should inspire you some interesting questions.
Okay, that'd be awesome, actually.
Cyrus the Skeptic and I have a podcast together called Hammered. It's on Cyrus's channel, and Steve was on there. We interviewed him about a number of things. It's a lot of fun.
Great. You and I have to set up a date too.
Yes, we will. Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, awesome. All right, guys. And remember, thanks everyone for tuning in. Unfortunately, I have to stop the broadcast, but these guys are going to banter on afterwards, so you won't be able to see it though. Unfortunately, sorry.
We'll have to tell you all about it.
Yeah, you'll hear all about it on Twitter tomorrow. Until next time, everybody. Remember, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. See you guys.